The Debt Collector 2, or Debt Collectors, is a sequel to the Debt Collector movie directed by Jesse V. Johnson, starring Scott Adkins and Louis Mandylor. So the movie starts with them sort of going over what happened in the last movie, and they have a new job to do. They have to collect 3 large scores within 48 hours, and French doesn't know why, but Sue does. So this movie is a bit of a letdown compared to its predecessor. First off, the first movie has a lot of things going for it. There's this charming buddy comedy aspect to it. The fight scenes are comedic and enjoyable. There's this good dialogue. It's got this sort of pulpy crime thriller, Elmore Leonard kind of feel. And then it ultimately, builds to a more emotionally stakes climax. However, this film kind of stumbles around, doesn't have quite the amazing story or characters as the first one. And this one, they have to, do the 3 set pieces, and then they have to go deal with another crime boss. However, the movie's lacking stakes for one thing. It's lacking the same sort of charm as the first one, because the first movie they just met and they're sort of, getting used to each other. Sue is the grizzled veteran who's the, he's sort of become emotionally detached from hurting people for money, and French is the green around the gills kind of newbie who's not really used to hurting people. So this movie doesn't really explore anything new in their relationship. It's more plot driven than character driven. Not to say that there isn't some enjoyable moments. I mean, there's a interesting boxing match, opening fight scene. There's a really intense character moment in which Sue has to beat down on a guy, and just it's intense. But there's also a nice hilarious alley fight that's a homage to They Live. But overall, the movie has the same mistakes as the first film, but doesn't equally match the creativeness of the first film. If you were to watch this movie not knowing anything about the first film, it still would be an average film. But my biggest problem with the first film was that it had this really shoddily directed gunfight for a finale, and this movie does the same thing. It's like a terribly choreographed action sequence in which people are firing at each other in a club, like a nightclub, and there's no cover. Everyone's just standing in the open, and French is standing behind a bar, so he's got some cover, but the villains are just standing in the middle of the floor firing, and there just seems to be no proper usage of space or cover or tactics. So it feels kind of overly dramatic that people can just shoot each other. They're only 20 feet away with no cover, and they're all missing. And then the one villain pulls out a grenade launcher, doesn't kill anyone. So overall, The Debt Collector 2 is a bit of a letdown. I feel like everyone was down to do another movie, but they didn't quite have the best script to go about it, and there isn't much story. So I give The Debt Collector 2 a 5 out of 10.